He got kicked out of the White House on Friday. The staff ate his lunch, and he spent the weekend flapping his gums. Ukraine's president told the AP the end of the war is very, very far away. Trump says, "You sure about that?"
President Zelensky supposedly made a statement today in AP. I'm not a big fan of AP, so maybe it was an incorrect statement, but he said he thinks the war's going to go on for a long time. And he better not be right about that. That's all I'm saying.
A senior White House official tells Fox everything is on the table. And breaking tonight, Fox News alert, the U.S. is hitting the brakes on arms to Ukraine. The Trump administration has stopped financing new weapons sales to Zelensky and is considering completely freezing weapons shipments from our stockpiles, pausing military aid to Ukraine. So Zelensky does the right thing. Isn't that what Democrats impeached him for? Why aren't Democrats calling for impeachment? Suddenly it's not a high crime and misdemeanor. I guess not. This move will certainly bring Zelensky back to the bargaining table.
We should be more appreciative because this country has stuck with them through thick and thin. We've given them much more than Europe, and Europe should have given more than us because, as you know, that's right there. That's the border. I'm not knocking Europe. I'm saying that they were a lot smarter than Joe Biden because Joe Biden didn't have a clue. He just gave money hand over fist, and they should have been able to equalize with us. In other words, if we gave $1, they should have given. Well, we gave $350 billion. They probably gave $100, but on top of it all, they get their money back because they're doing it in the form of a loan, and it's a secured loan. So when I saw that, which I've known about for a little while, I said it's time for us to be smart.
Trump right on Truth Social saying Europe has spent more money buying Russian oil and gas than they have spent on defending Ukraine by far. Elon says it's time to leave NATO. That's probably a good cop, bad cop play. And the Europeans are already feeling the heat. Over the weekend, they pledged billions more in defense spending, which is exactly what Trump's been urging them to do for 10 years. And this benefits the United States because we've always wanted a more beefed up European military alliance to deter Russia. And if the Europeans take the lead in defending Ukraine, they're even considering putting European boots on the ground, America can take a breather and replenish our stockpiles, which are running dry. So we're combat ready for China in case they try something. But making our allies step up is treason to our good old friend Rach.
I think whatever Americans voted for, I don't think people voted to make the United States a subsidiary diplomatic entity to Vladimir Putin, which is the way that Trump is operating here. One of the things that we saw today were leaders of democracies from all over Europe publicly thanking Zelensky today, standing with him in solidarity after this meeting with Trump. You talk about whether or not the United States is any longer associated with the free world.
America has a history of doing business with Russia. JFK used to write secret letters to Khrushchev behind the CIA's back in an attempt to end the Cold War. Reagan and Gorbachev had a record number of summits and signed historic arms treaties. The Gipper and Gorby had a great relationship. Bush looked into Putin's eyes and saw into his soul. And Hillary tried so hard with Moscow, she handed them a reset button to reset their relationship. Trump knows Putin's a snake, but isn't he just resetting the relationship to bring peace?
All we're trying to do here is figure out whether a peace is possible. All these other things that people keep bringing up, that'll have to be a part of a negotiation. Right now, there is no negotiation. Shouldn't we at least try to see if there is a way to end this war in a way that's acceptable to both sides and is enduring and sustainable? How is that a bad thing? I really am puzzled why anyone thinks that trying to be a peacemaker is a bad thing. It's only a bad thing when it's Donald Trump trying to do it. When it's President Trump, it's absurd to me. Shouldn't we all be happy that we have a president who's trying to stop wars and prevent them instead of start them? And I just don't get it. I really don't, other than the fact that it's Donald J. Trump. If this was a Democrat that was doing this, everyone would be saying, well, he's on his way to the Nobel Peace Prize. This is absurd.
Ever since Hillary blamed Putin for stealing the election, Democrats had an enemy they actually wanted to fight. Before that, Bill Clinton was making speeches in Moscow for $500,000. House Oversight says Moscow sent Hunter Biden $3 million checks. Now the Democrats want to look tough and fight an unwinnable, winless proxy war. Now, the Ukrainians, the Europeans, the Russians, the Americans all want the war to end, except the Democrats don't. We thought Zelensky wanted the war to end, but then something happened.
It takes two to tango, and you're going to have to make a deal with Russia, and you're going to have to make a deal with Ukraine. I think everybody has to get into a room, so to speak, and we have to make a deal. And the deal can be made very fast. It should not be that hard a deal to make. It can be made very fast. Now, maybe somebody doesn't want to make a deal, and if somebody doesn't want to make a deal, I think that person won't be around very long. That person will not be listened to very long. Because I believe that Russia wants to make a deal. I believe certainly the people of Ukraine want to make a deal. They've suffered more than anybody else. We talk about suffering. They've suffered.
White House sources say Zelensky has 3 strikes. Strike 1 was tearing apart the mineral deal they had weeks ago.
I was personally very upset because we had a conversation with President Zelensky, the vice president and I, the three of us. And we discussed this issue about the mineral rights. And we explained to them, look, we want to be in a joint venture with you, not because we're trying to steal from your country, but because we think that's actually a security guarantee. And he said, sure, we want to do this deal. It makes all the sense in the world. The only thing is I need to run it through my legislative process. They have to approve it. I read 2 days later that Zelensky's out there saying, I rejected the deal. I told him no way that we're not doing that. Well, that's not what happened in that meeting. So you start to get upset by somebody. We're trying to help these guys.
Strike 2 was walking into the White House without a suit. The White House asked Zelensky to wear a suit to the meeting, just as a sign of respect. And Zelensky shows up in a long-sleeve T-shirt and cargo pants. Strike 3 was inside the Oval Office.
The tragedy of Friday, and I don't know what President Zelensky was thinking, we had President of France, Emmanuel Macron, in on Monday. Great meeting. We had Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Thursday. Fantastic meeting. They were all on board the arc of the peace agreement. All President Zelensky had to do was come in and sign this economic agreement, and again, show no daylight between Ukrainian people and the American people, and he chose to blow that up.
So the deal's no longer on the table, just to be abundantly clear.
Not at present.
One White House senior advisor says, I'm not sure this is salvageable. 3 strikes and you're out. It's not like Zelensky wasn't warned. Ukraine-friendly members of Congress were prepping him ahead of time. One person in the room told Politico this: everyone was giving him the same advice, which was get the deal done, don't play games, and be very appreciative of everything that Trump and the administration have done. Lead with thank you for everything that you've done and get the deal done. But Zelensky didn't even say thank you, just like he didn't say thank you to Biden. When Biden screamed at him on the phone in 2022 and told him to show a little more gratitude, Zelensky just brushed it off. So what happened? Well, 40 minutes before this meeting in the Oval, Zelensky was meeting with Senate Democrats. Democrat Senator Chris Murphy said, quote, just finished a meeting with President Zelensky here in Washington. He confirmed that the Ukrainian people will not support a fake peace agreement where Putin gets everything he wants and there are no security arrangements for Ukraine. So Murphy got in his head. And less than an hour later, Zelensky starts a fight with Trump and Vance and blows up the deal again. And then Murphy gets on TV and says this.
The White House has become an arm of the Kremlin. Every single day, you hear from the National Security Advisor, from the President of the United States, from his entire national security team, Kremlin talking points. For the last week, the White House has been pretending as if Ukraine started this war. That's essentially saying that Poland invaded Germany at the beginning of World War II.
Look at this dirty little trick. Sabotage a peace deal so you can call Trump a Russian puppet. Democrats don't even have a peace plan. They don't even have a plan to win this war. Their only plan is to keep it going so you can call Trump a traitor for trying to end it. President Biden was caught telling donors here in Manhattan that this country has never been so close to nuclear Armageddon. All Trump's trying to do is stop World War III, and the American people want it stopped too. 72% of Americans want Ukraine to negotiate a settlement, and 60% of the country agrees with the way Trump's going about it, negotiating directly with Russia. Ending the war lowers energy prices, which brings down inflation. It also heals the world's messed up supply chain, which also brings down inflation. It boosts European defense spending and saves American combat power for the Pacific. lets us focus on more urgent problems like the Iranians and the Chinese. And these sanctions we have up, they hurt the dollar as the world currency because it drives other nations to trade in other denominations. And it drives the Russians away from a deepening alliance with the Chinese and gives us a new market for minerals that our tech sector is going to need in the arms race. So Zelensky says he's still ready to sign the minerals deal, but he's got to do one thing first.
I have been told by a senior official here that nothing's going to happen with this minerals deal until Zelensky goes in front of cameras and makes an explicit public apology for the way that he behaved himself.
Philosophers throughout the history of time have warned about the excesses of pride, and this looks like a prime example. America is a very forgiving nation. Donald Trump has shown that he can work with people who've called him some of the worst names imaginable. So this is a very fluid situation. We've apologized to other countries before, so there's nothing wrong with having other countries apologize to us.